Yeah. 1, 2, 3, pasa el guaro. Y sin estrés, que es caro. Te gustan los chicos malos. Y se te ve que ella es como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Y ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Ella es como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Y ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Yeah. Esa Julieta no necesita su Romeo. A esas caderas todo le creo. Y esta manera de perreo. Bájale al fuego porque esto se puso feo. Aquí un paisita con la de Ponce. Ella la mala y apelando el bronce. Yo flow Maluma, tu flow Beyoncé. Pega esto pa' que sientas el roce. Con su flow gemelita de J-Lo, de J-Lo, de J-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, reggaetón, ton. Con su flow gemelita de J-Lo, de J-Lo, de J-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, reggaetón, ton. Ella como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Ella como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Yeah. Yo le doy un flow a mi bebé la pupi. Le doy un guarito pa' que deje el tutti frutti. Pa' que no se estrese y solo me va a hacer booty. Izquierda, derecha con su movimiento sutil. Nos noquea como lo haya en el ring. Nunca pasa moda como la era de los memes. De toda la peli ella es la mejor sin. La bebé esta cara y eso que no usa Supreme. Con su flow gemelita de J-Lo, de J-Lo, de J-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, reggaetón, ton. Con su flow gemelita de J-Lo, de J-Lo, de J-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, reggaetón, ton. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Baby, Johnny, Ricky Baker, presentando pa'
Hello everyone, happy Friday. How's everyone today? Hope you've all had a good week and wishing you all a good weekend. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, please. Well, how the mighty have fallen. Because you could say the harder you troll, the harder you fall. And here we are. The trolls are falling like dominoes. Okay, you can hear me. Fantastic. Brenda, you were just listening to another video, now you're on. Happy to have you here. I don't know about you all, but when I'm listening to other YouTube channels, I always put the speed up really, really fast to like the highest setting. I think it's like ×2, just so I can get through podcasts faster. Otherwise, it's just a lot of time to get through everyone's podcast and then watch all the other stuff that I love watching as well. So just a quick tip. If you want to get through things faster, just put the speed up. Alrighty, we've got Lightside here today as well. Lightside, say hey, hey.
Hey, hey.
How are you doing?
Friday.
Happy Friday to you.
Oh man, so I've been moving the last week or two. I am physically and mentally exhausted, but I am here.
I'm happy to have you here and glad you're settled. I'm not going to do call-ins today, guys and dolls. I just asked Lightside to come on instead. And so I guess, yeah, we'll run through the events of, well, updates that have come in the last 24 hours, and then also we'll run through the events of the last week. So Lightside, feel free to jump in whenever you want to as we're going through everything. So first and foremost, our guy Harry, our man Harry. Prince Harry is going to be the first British senior royal to take the stand in 130 years. Now, I don't know who took the stand last time. Maybe I should research that for tomorrow's podcast. But our man Harry is going to be up there. And who knows what's going to be said or what's going to come out. I still do very much believe that what happened in New York was definitely meant to spook the Sussexes. And it seems like they've kept a very low profile, or decided to just, lay low for now. We haven't really heard any updates from their spokesperson since then. And if there are any squaddies, by the way, who are going to the courthouse to support, do show up loudly, proudly. I would also ask, because things are getting serious now. If you are going to the courthouse, like, have like a body cam, or even on your phone, just be recording the crowd, like be recording everything around you, be recording the photographers, everybody who's standing around the courthouse. If I was going, I would do that as well. And so over 100 people are suing MGN. It's not just Harry. But Harry was one of many who that were selected as test cases to take this further. So it's going to be really interesting. Lightside, do you have any guesses as to what we might hear or what might come out? I mean, we know that Piers Morgan is very nervous about this as well. He's gotten away with a lot of things for a very long time, and we know that he, targeted Diana as much as he targeted Meghan.
Yeah. You know what I think, guys? I think that Pierce is right now the face of this, horrible phone hacking case that's going on with Harry. But I guarantee you there are multiple other people involved in this. And I think the deeper fear, other than Pierce being narcissistic and everything else that we know him to be a rotten person overall, I think there are many more people that might be ousted as far as information that could potentially come out. The pressure on Harry for this, for suppressing his voice and speaking up, has been pretty loud. And I think we all suspect that there may be other people that are involved or that were victims of this phone hacking case. We've seen one or two other celebrities kind of step up.
Yeah.
But maybe others were fearful because they knew the monstrous, big money groups that were behind this whole thing. So I hope we get some more intel and more faces get unmasked for us to know who they really are. But I think it's a crime network with these people. They all rub each other's backs.
Indeed. I mean, Sherry Ware, you that's an interesting point. You said Pig Moron will be the fall guy, and he may well actually be the fall guy, because if you look at, for example, the Me Too movement, and how many people actually got outed in Hollywood. There was like a handful of people, but Harvey Weinstein was like where a lot of the attention was focused. And obviously, he has a very long record, and because he was hugely powerful, one can understand kind of why the focus was there. But it was like the focus was there so much that a lot of the other things that were going on went unnoticed, and a lot of other people just kind of got to stay under the rug and maybe not get as much heat, as much as attention as they also deserved. And sometimes with these powerful rotten people, they do just pick that one person between them, you know, one of them to make the lamb to slaughter, while the other just kind of scurry away. So I don't think you're wrong there, Sherry Way. He could end up being the fall guy for a lot of other people that also need to fall, but will unfortunately maybe get to scurry away. So yeah, Harry's gonna be in the dock, and yeah, I guess we'll see what he has to say. I can't. The way that the establishment is acting, the way that Piss Moron is acting, there's definitely something coming out, something explosive, and they're obviously very, very scared.
Oh,
Go on,
one more
Lightside.
thing. One more thing. How many of you guys actually think that the royal family potentially might have some involvement, I'm gonna say,
Oh yeah.
in this whole thing?
Oh, of course, that too. That too. I mean, even with not even just with Harry, but maybe even with Diana as well. I think there might be some things that come out, and the way that she was treated, because you can see with Harry's security and the way that they're really trying to punish him in that way, it
Mhm.
does make you question a lot about what Diana was going through.
Yeah, very man, you know, there's a saying, what's in the dark will come into light. And we're seeing the craziness going on right now with the media and how they're like bandwagging and bullying Harry and Meghan right now. And we're talking specifically about Harry's case, but it's not too hard to imagine, even for us who were a lot younger at the time, it's not too hard to imagine what Princess Diana must have also gone through at that time back in the day when she was dealing with all this.
Mm. Of course, of course. Right. Next thing. Oh, Lights, I really want to get your thoughts on this. Kate and William. Oof. Kate and William. There has been space between this couple for a very, very long time, and that space just gets wider and wider. And it would appear that Kate at least is still trying to play house, play husband and wife, but William is not. I mean, right here, this is at a state dinner. This is at another royal wedding, at an official event, and he is walking straight ahead of her. Light side.
um, yeah, I know. I'm trying to put the sensors up a little bit. Let me tell you something. Let's talk about Willie Peggers. He he has not been putting any effort in. You know, I want to kind of go back and see when this whole behavior started being more public, because there was a point when we didn't
Yeah.
notice it that much, right? But
Yes.
he just gives two Fs right now. I'm not gonna curse. It's just it's anyone looking at them in public would wonder if
Yeah.
they're actually together. And
But
go
you
ahead.
know, I've been going back like further and further and further in videos, and
Mhm.
even I've gone as far back as 2014. I think it was 2014. They'd gone to an event. Kate was actually pregnant. So this is now I remember. So I don't know if you've seen that picture when they're in the back of a car and William has his finger in Kate's face, right?
Yes, I
And Kate
remember
is
that.
shaking her head. Yes, so I looked for
Mhm.
the footage. I looked for the footage of that event. I believe that's from 2014. Kate was actually pregnant and she's walking up the stairs, you know, holding her dress up. She's pregnant and he's not helping her and he doesn't introduce her, you know, as a gentleman would. Good evening, here's my wife. To the guests at this event where they were going. I think it was like the Royal Variety event. So this has actually been happening for a long time, even when Catherine was pregnant. I mean, it's just sad, you know.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't think any of us sit here like, you know, kind of mocking this couple, or, you know, in a way that we're celebrating. But when you think of just how cruel and callous these people have been, and then to see so much of the misery that they wanted to inflict on Harry and Meghan, it's almost
Mhm.
like boomeranging
It's landing on
right back
them.
at them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I remember that image distinctly. I'm actually shocked that it was able to make it out in the public because they try so carefully to make them look like the perfect couple for so long. Of late, that's not been happening. I don't know who's given up. If both sides are like, all right, this is it. The media's like, this is what we have. They're gonna get divorced or separated in a little bit, or if William's like, all right, I'm done. I'm not gonna like even try to play this anymore. And to Wendy Loman's comment, I just thought I was cracking up. Where are the body language experts? Yes,
Yeah.
because you know what? You know what? They're always on Harry and Meghan, and I'm literally like, not like I entertain them, but I'm looking. I'm like, let me clear my eyes for a bit because I'm not seeing what they're talking about. I always wonder where they make the stuff up with Harry and Meghan.
Yeah.
Saying that they're going to divorce, they're separating, or they're fighting, and I'm looking at these two complete crickets. Nothing, absolutely nothing, right? So, yeah, I mean, it looks as though like we're not celebrating a couple going through stuff, but in a juxtaposition situation where you're looking at Harry and Meghan, people who are minding their own business, trying to do good by the world and themselves. They're not causing any issues, and everything that's loaded on them, and how these two have in effect treated them,
Yeah.
probably even worse behind the scenes. It's hard to have sympathy for these two. And I think that's where a lot of the squatties land is like, I don't think deep down, we're good people, but we're not going to
Yeah.
stand by and be like, oh, I feel so sorry for her too. And it looks like she's being treated badly. I don't want any woman to go through anything horrible, but we saw how she kind of interacted with Megan at the walkabout. That was a glimpse of some other stuff that was going on, and everything else
Yeah.
has happened from the copying of attires and everything. And it's just hard for us to be sympathetic,
Yeah.
as much as we are to Harry and Meghan.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's almost as if like the only thing that has actually brought this couple on the screen together in any capacity is their complete and utter loathing for the Sussexes and
Yeah.
the agenda that they have helped to drive against Harry and Meghan. They've benefited from it. They've benefited from it in terms of the fact that, you know, their scandals have very much gone under the radar, especially William's shenanigans. They've benefited from it in the way that, Catherine has been propped up as this saint, regardless of the fact that it's actually Meghan who came in and did a lot of impactful work.
Yes. And you know what I've been seeing lately? I've been seeing some people who are usually very tempered with their comments, like legit certified, I call it certified Twitter chart marks. Probably doesn't mean anything right now, but the big dogs, the ones that are in the media and stuff. I've seen a lot more people actually call this out, and almost get like emotionally upset with how they are being unfair to the description with Harry and Meghan compared to these two. And I think it just highlights more of their issue than it does Harry and Meghan. I think in the last podcast that you did, you showed the little clip that everyone has seen, I don't know how many times, with William hurrying Kate up. I'm just like,
And
William.
let me I'll play it again for just for anyone that hasn't seen it yet. I'm so sorry. I
Mhm.
don't actually have the other. So there's another clip that I don't have, but they're at the party, and literally William and Kate are back to back. They're not looking at each other. They're not talking to each other. Like they're looking for other people to talk to. And there's this really awkward moment where they both kind of touch their hair, or Kate touches her hair, William touches
His non-existent hair.
his phantom follicles. But it's like the body language, like they're turned away from each other, they're fidgeting with their hair and non-hair, just very like awkward and very
Mhm.
nervous. But here's the other piece of footage that you were talking about, Liza, and I'll just play it now.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
I counted again. It was 10 seconds. Okay. he had no patience whatsoever, and she kept on. She went on to finish whatever she was saying, obviously, but oof, like it's painful to watch.
And you
Um,
know what's interesting is right at the end there, he says "see you later" to the other princess there, and he
mhm.
doesn't look at Catherine at all.
No, he doesn't acknowledge her. Have you guys noticed that? Like,
Yeah.
if you look at any of the past stuff going back to the what do you call it? The green carpet event that they did in
Oh
Boston.
yes, yeah,
Like, you'll see them the eyes pass each other on occasion. They'll make maybe one eye contact with each other. And I'm not a body language expert, I'm not. I'm just, but they really, it's like it's like, oh, they look like they're interacting, but they're misses. Same thing with the hand holding thing. It's the same
yes, I
thing.
remember that.
Ships passing in the night.
Oh dear. Okay, I think that's enough of Kitty and Willie. Oh, actually, let's look at Kitty's family because I didn't know this until today, but the Middletons were there. The Middletons were at the wedding reception. And my question is, did they go with Kate and William? Um, I doubt they, flew in by themselves. Did they go on their private jet? What are they doing there? There's no reason
Right.
for Cara Middleton to be there, for Pippa to be there. Also, I mean,
Is that her
Beatrice
brother?
and was there also. Sorry.
Is that her brother in the back? I can't tell. Maybe it's hard to.
I think it is actually James, but it's definitely
Yeah.
Pippa and Carol in the front, and
Yes.
I don't know why they're there. I mean, these
Yeah.
these people just went bankrupt, and here they are in their sparkly gowns.
Yes. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, like how?
I don't know. I mean, the grifters, this is the perfect example of grifters. You get close to money and power and you rub shoulders a little bit, make appearances, show your face, and you
Mm,
associate with it. Um, yeah. I don't know why they're there.
yeah, trying to get a new rich husband for Kitty, maybe. Okay. I mean, listen, they gotta find her someone. I don't think the divorce money is gonna last for too long.
Let me tell you something. Look, it, Kate needs to be careful. She needs to be careful. We talk about they can't be as dumb as trying to pull something like they did on Princess Di. I would not put it past these people. They are mafia level operations in the royal family. They're messy. Um, not saying it's gonna happen, but like I feel like if could there be a potential public divorce? Like, has there been one? Has you have you, do you know of anything other than what's her name? Beatrice's mom and their dad separating or divorcing besides them, and I would call them like tertiary royals, right? They're not like as
Mm,
high as William or Harry or Chucky, but have you ever heard of anyone as high as that in the royal family having a public divorce like that, that's been put that high up on a pedestal? Hasn't happened. So if he
mm.
does get one, it is not going to be good for him potentially taking the throne later. So I will not put it past them to try to pull something like they did in the past to make her life miserable, or to maybe you'll start seeing stuff with them saying, oh, she's mentally not okay, or she's an alcoholic or whatever. They'll try to taint her image more than whatever we may see publicly. So stay tuned
I
because we're
mean,
going to
they
start seeing some of that.
they did it to Diana, and I wouldn't put it past them to do it to Kate either. Especially if William wants to protect his image, he has to throw
Right.
somebody under the bus.
Yes, and you brought up a good point. You had made a statement saying that it was the person who Kate had hired, right? They had not done their research and vetted
Yes.
him to see what his history was. Why is Kate the face of this onslaught that's been publicly published? I think it might have been the Express or something, because they've been on them for a bit since the coronation. But where's William? William's name is nowhere to be found. And I'm
Yeah.
not having sympathy for Kate. I just want you guys to kind of keep your eyes open in the future to see like where this is headed, because they've been very careful about trying to keep William out of the dirt mud flinging kind of
Yes.
like circle to protect them.
Mm. I mean, even the headline that came out of that little incident, like usually stuff like that would be ignored, but it was in the Daily Fail. It was like chop chop.
Exactly.
Oh dear. Okay. Thank you so much to Helen Cole. But yes, they are the welfare family. Thank you so much for the super sticker. And Baron's in the house. Hey, Baron. Baron, would you like to come up?
Baron.
Would you like to come up with me and Lightside? Baron, if you do want to come up, I will put the link in the chat. But this is only for Baron, please. Okay, let's go into the next thing. Phillip Schofield, Lightside, are you ready for this?
Lord, let's dig into this. I have an embarrassing admission, but we're going to talk about that later after you do your piece.
Okay. Wait, is this what you told me earlier?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, God. Okay, we'll get to it. Phillip Schofield. Phillip Schofield is out here begging for mercy, and he shouldn't get it. He shouldn't get any mercy. He shouldn't get any sympathy. There is now a blanket propaganda drill going on across the UK media to get Phillip Schofield sympathy. He deserves no sympathy whatsoever. This man cannot handle for 10 minutes what Meghan has had to endure for the last 6 to 7 years. And in fact, none of them can. You had Jeremy Vine, who was complaining about his internet stalker, saying that it left him in a really dark place, and yet he has a platform that day in day out bashes Meghan. Phillip Schofield was on a morning TV show that day in day out bashes Harry and Meghan. Instead of using their platform to talk about real British news and stuff that's going on with the British public, they use it as a propaganda machine to paint this false narrative. And here we are, him facing the music, and he just can't handle it. I mean, you are allegedly, based on what we know, a nonce. Why are you looking for sympathy? And we also had actually, let me just play this. Oh yeah, let's play the footage. This is him earlier.
How much do you want a man to take? And are you truly only happy when he's dead? And this is how Caroline Flack felt. And it didn't stop.
What you're doing is so wrong on so many levels.
Yeah, it is so wrong on so many levels to evoke Caroline Flack in this situation. Caroline Flack was not a nonce, first of all. Secondly, you people didn't care when Meghan was having suicidal ideations. You people didn't care when Meghan lost her baby. You didn't care when she sat in that Netflix documentary and made it very clear that what you were doing was putting her and her family in danger. There are literally crazy people out there who want to do you know what to Meghan. I've been in situations, I remember I told you guys last time when I was in Lisbon, I was sitting with a group of 4 middle-aged individuals, 4 very sad, daily fell reading middle-aged individuals who should, at their age, have a little bit more wisdom and be able to decipher when they are being fed propaganda and what isn't propaganda in the media. And the moment I mentioned that I was a fan of Meghan, the mood literally changed. And to be honest with you, if I could go back to that moment, I would ask those 4 individuals, at your age, when you should be a lot wiser, don't you think it's a bit weird that you have had such an odd reaction to a woman that you don't know? But I digress. Phillip Schofield is being protected yet again by the establishment. He's being given a platform, and the fact that they allowed him to do a 44-minute interview, as Dave here on Twitter said, of him sighing and huffing, full of self-pity, trying to gain sympathy from the public. I feel no sympathy from him. I don't think anyone else should either. Lightside.
It's a sympathy run. Wait, when did this all come out? Wasn't it just hasn't been a week yet, has it? It has not been a week. It hasn't been a week. So the audacity and the boldness of these people to assume that we have such short-term memories of the fact that he just, and I don't think so. The argument, right, is that I think he decided to leave. That's what they're saying. It was such an abrupt thing that happened, and maybe either they knew about it for a long time and it made it look like it was abrupt on our end, or it really was sudden. If that was the case, it was not on his volition. I guarantee it, because if he did choose to do it on his own, I guarantee you there's way more stuff behind the scenes that we haven't found out, that the organization knows about him, that hasn't been released yet, that would look horrible if it were to be made public and he would still be working at that news station. I'm just
Yeah.
going to read something really quickly, and it's from the Hollywood Reporter. And I think it's probably in a follow-up to this interview. It says, in his interview, Schofield suggested that there weren't further hidden issues or scandals waiting to be unearthed, saying, "It's my biggest, sorriest secret." He made clear that he doesn't expect to return to screens, suggesting his TV career was over. Quote, "I have to talk about television in the past tense, which breaks my heart," he told BBC. "I have lost everything." Now, to the squatties in the chat and to the ones on Twitter who were dragging him up and down these Twitter tweets since he came out and was saying whatever he did. Yes. Did you think about that when you were telling Harry and Meghan to stop talking and to be quiet? Right?
Mhm.
Were you saying any of that stuff? Were you thinking about this? Why should we have sympathy for you that you're just now experiencing what it's like to have a backlash and to have people be vocal and be against like whatever it is that you're standing for right now? And to be clear, I'm not saying, you know, I'm not speaking of this in reference to his sexual preference, which I'm gonna get to later, because I had no idea he was, gay. I think the issue is that he was involved in this relationship and people are just against that. That's like not something that a lot of people are okay with. And that's really what this is right here. So you're getting backlash, you're getting people calling you out for your stuff. You've been in the limelight for 2 minutes and you're complaining about, "Feel sorry for me, have sympathy for me," right? "Have pity on me." You got your buddies to publicly jump on the bandwagon and to kind of like have people try to get sympathy for you as well. And you didn't have the same sympathy when you were talking to your panel groups horribly and telling Harry and Meghan to stop talking. We're over the racism stuff now. We got it the first time. We understand it, and whatever else. Now it's getting tiring. Stop talking about it. Really.
Mm. I mean, let's
That's
just listen to Alison Hammond, this sad woman who wanted to play the part of a coon and is out here crying her eyes out for Philip Schofield in a way that Philip Schofield would never if the shoe was on the other foot. Wait, let me just find it. Oh no. I've lost it now. I have to search. Okay, you can go ahead, Lightside, while I try to find this video.
So
Sorry.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna admit something really embarrassing. This is because Anna and I were chatting earlier, and I've been in and out of social media stuff over the last 2 weeks. So I've been busy with other things, but I admitted to her that I had no idea, because I think Petal actually shared some information with me, and I looked some stuff up, and I found out that Philip Schofield was gay. I did not know that he was gay. I knew that he had a wife at some point, and I did not know the complete backstory to that, which is a complete mess. So I'm having a
Yeah.
conversation with Anne, and she's like, "Girl, did you not know?" I was like, "Nah, I didn't know." Like, you're telling me that the brother is involved in this illicit SA stuff, and he is like this. Not like there's anything wrong with it, but he had a wife before, and then kind of transitioned to something else. It's just really interesting, that dynamic.
So yeah. So to explain for those of you that maybe don't know the background, yes, Philip Schofield was married, but he was also gay. Now, to be honest, this isn't necessarily something that is, well, I think it's more common than people think. Some people still feel that they can't, live their truth and be their full self. And at the time, people were very supportive of him coming out, but I think also some people were side-eyeing him because they felt that it was only because the affair had come out
Exactly.
and this affair was with this young boy.
He was 20.
Yeah.
I think he said that he was 20 years old, right? Or
Yeah.
younger.
But I think, but when they first met, the young man was, I think he was 12, and the
Ooh,
relationship began when he was in his teens as well.
yeah.
And yes,
That's
his
grooming, y'all. I'm sorry. I don't care
yeah.
what anyone says. That's complete grooming. That. I don't care if you didn't touch him until he was of age. That's grooming. There's something I really wanted to say quickly regarding this. So you know how we're saying how Kate doesn't react in public to certain things. And it's really interesting to me too, because I would lose my cool after a bit. And you'd probably see something. I think there's a certain level of God, I don't want to assume too much. When you have a woman in like a relationship or a marriage that's in an abusive situation, sometimes there can be a suppression of emotion. It's a coping mechanism. I can't really think of the name right now, where you kind of put up with certain things that are being thrown at you, but it changes your mindset, almost like a mini brainwashing kind of that happens. But yeah, it's the same thing that happens with young victims who get groomed into relationships with much older people. For example, someone like him who's in a powerful situation.
Yeah, and there is some kind of super injunction that is meant to end in July. So I guess if the young man in question wants to talk about his experience, he can then. Sorry, I'm having trouble finding this clip for some reason. But basically, if I'm just to describe what is going on with this coon on the TV, basically, Alison Hammond is here. Oh, okay. No, I found it here. Now we can actually listen to it because it's just ridiculous. She is crying and wailing about how we've lost Philip, and he was our family, and yada yada yada. Have a listen. It's ridiculous. Boy.
Well, that interview featured on Schofield's former programme this morning, just moments ago, provoked this response from the show's presenter, Alison Hammond.
I just find it really painful because obviously, I loved Philip Schofield, and it's weird because I still love Philip Schofield. However, what he's done is wrong. He's admitted it. He said sorry. But as a family, we're all really struggling to process everything. And I'd never know what to say, but I remember what my mum said. My mum always said, use your Bible as your saving light. And in the Bible it says, he without sin cast the first stone. And I just don't want to say anything bad because obviously I'm in conflict.
That interview featured on Schofield's former programme.
I mean, what do you even say to that?
Are they related somehow?
I mean, this woman is she's out here quoting Bible verses.
An emotional breakdown over this person who she worked with. Are you kidding me? Am I missing something? Because I don't really understand like what all that was about. That was and she's not using scripture correctly at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the nerve to even use scripture at all, but go on.
Yeah, the nerve to even use scripture. But it's like, forget the gaslighting, man. Like, I mean, come on. Like, why are you the face of this armor and protection? And oh, I feel so bad for him, and it's emotionally breaking my heart to see him go through this. Can we take a step back and pause for a second and really look at the situation here? What are we really talking about? Do these people even hear themselves when they go on these platforms?
Yeah. And it's just incredible to see how this great shield of protection has been deployed
It's
for this
disgusting.
alleged nonce.
Yeah. But it's again, it's an insight to how protective they are with each other.
Yeah. Because they know if one of them falls, that the dominoes are going to keep falling,
Dominoes,
and
yeah.
they're one of the
Mhm.
dominoes. And
Yeah.
it's just infuriating, to be honest. Not just because of the double standard, that we see in the way that Meghan was being treated, but it's also just infuriating because the reason that they are protecting Philip Schofield is because there are more of them are protecting themselves. It is so troubling how many nonces there are across um British media and the tabloids, and not just nonsense but also enablers of nonsense.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel sometimes I get even more upset when they do stuff like that because I'm like, do they really think we're stupid? Like, they like, because okay, as we all know, the media. I mean, and I hope it changes. And my brain's all over the place, but I also feel like we need to be our own media sources because we can't trust a lot of them right now.
Mhm.
But the media has always been the leading force of information, right? A lot of us are questioning certain things about them right now and almost and challenging them, but they know the power they have, and what they're doing is putting the stuff out there to garner sympathy from the masses, which is wrong, right? Like, why? Why do you need to do that in this situation? He did what
Yeah,
he did, and this is the result of that. Karma. Call it
yeah,
whatever you wanna call it.
indeed. And Wendy, you're so right. Like, where's Holly with her crocodile tears? She was Philip's co-host, and this. Oh my god, this is just such an example, and I hate to even take it there, but this is one of these things that Black women in the workplace do. Why is Alison, as a Black woman, making herself the cheerleader for
Mhm.
Schofield when Holly, who was his actual co-host, is absolutely nowhere to be seen? Why are you clowning yourself?
Yeah, we need to be a little more, choosy with who we cape for, because I wouldn't be using that for this. This is not the time to be pulling that out. I don't know, I don't know why sometimes we feel like we need to step up and be the spokesperson, the voice of reason in certain situations. I think sometimes there's a lot that can be learned if we just kinda sit back, be silent, and just observe the situation a little bit.
Yeah, and then you've got Piers Morgan here, saying unless Philip Schofield's ex-lover, the boy was a teenager, right? Why are we using terms like ex-lover? But he says unless he contradicts his version of events to the Sun, BBC, then it's time to stop this relentless persecution of a guy who's lost everything and looks right on the edge to me. He doesn't seem to have committed any crime, and he's not a government minister.
Yeah, Mr. Morality Police over here. Um, he's one to talk.
Yeah. And even if and I will say this, even if the boy was over 16, the age of consent is 16 in the UK,
Mhm.
even still, I will still call this grooming because it's not acceptable. There's what, almost 30 years between Schofield and this young chap. Why was he not dealing with men his age? Your brain isn't even really
Developed. Yeah.
developed until you're going into your 20s. So to call this young man an ex-lover of Philip Schofield, it's just like
He's a
now the way they're
hypocrite.
trying to twist the
Mhm.
narrative. It's like with um Andrew, right? I remember, was it Lady C? There was someone who referred to what happened between Andrew and the young lady Virginia Guffray, like she was trying to basically justify it.
Mhm.
Um and I feel like they're trying to do like a similar thing with
Yeah.
Schofield. And unfortunately, for some people, it will work. Like I've seen
Mhm.
tweets already online of people saying, "Oh, leave him alone," and why is everybody saying this? Like we should call out predatory people in society. That's what we're meant to do. If we don't do that, what type of a society are we?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's it's really rich because I think that this is one of those things that makes it really hard for certain victims and people who may not realize it at the time of that happening, but maybe later they start piecing
Mhm.
stuff together, realizing they have certain issues. It makes it really hard for some people to step up and actually speak up
Yes.
about what happened to them. So if whether you're someone of authority, someone who's a counselor, or anyone else in the public eye that has a voice coming out and saying, oh, well, I mean, let's justify it by saying that like this person wanted it or whatever. That's like the worst thing that you can put out there for someone who is already having a hard time speaking up.
Exactly, because what does this say to victims of abuse, that you've now got a blanket campaign across UK media trying to defend this guy and prop him up? Like, this has now become more about Philip Schofield than the young man in question.
Yeah. There's a larger divide between the elites and the people who are well connected and have money than everybody else, and they're making it very obvious that they live in a different world. The rules for them don't apply to us. I mean, and us in the United States, we can definitely see it playing out right now in politics and some other spheres, but it's the same underlying translated template that is being used in the UK when it comes to you guys as government, the royals, these people who are powerful in the media that have a voice and huge following.
Absolutely, so true. Well, unless there was anything else that you wanted to discuss or pick up on from the last few weeks, light side, I'm happy to just kind of go through people's last comment and call it a day.
I can't really think of anything right now. The only thing I have to say is, I think the one general consensus I've gotten over the last couple of weeks, and I think my wake up moment was the incident that happened in New York, because I've been trying really hard to not get into arguments with people on Twitter. I don't engage some of those people because there's no point in arguing with them. But I've realized that that people will literally see the truth in front of them and tell you that that's not really what's going on.
Mm,
And there are a lot of people who will also say the same thing and say, no, the sky is actually gray, or the sky is purple. It's not blue. And you're looking at it and be like, that's blue. It's blue. I'm looking at it
yeah.
right now. They will do that. And I feel like we are probably going to see a transformation and a pulling away from even some of the bigger media sources. I hope that's what happens, because I feel like journalism is buried under this bureaucracy right now, where everyone is saying the same thing, and who's feeding them the information to deliver to the masses are writing the scripts, and we're not getting the truth. An easy way to see this happening is if you go across all the networks. An exception is Fox News, because they march their own beat. But if you go across CBS, ABC, MSNBC, CNN, you'll see almost very similar language being used to describe a situation. There's no critical thinking or real journalism, like doing the work and actually speaking about the truth, because it may not necessarily sell, and what
Mhm.
sells may not be the right thing that's being pushed out there. But there are people who will soak that up and take it as truth, and that's a huge problem. We saw it in the case of Harry and Meghan. Of course, none of us were there, but you have people say it's very possible to have a tight situation happen, and their lives to be a threat in that kind of circumstance. And the definition of chase and the word being used to describe the situation became a huge platform for saying that they were lying, because a media person used that specific word to describe what happened to them. If
Mm,
you really look at what happened, it is a pursuit. If you're being followed by anyone for that period of time, you're being followed. You can generalize and say that you're being chased or being pursued. Same thing. They know what that means, but they twist it, and they put this language out there because they know a lot of people will not get that, and it
mm.
will get the effect that they want. So I feel like there's enough of us, and there's a growing group of the squatties, that we are very good at calling people out on their stuff, even the news stations, and these talk show hosts and everybody else. I think we need to continue that, and who knows, maybe we'll start getting our own information and checking fact checking ourselves, because I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to rely on some of these people.
Yeah, I mean, I've always, I guess, been very skeptical of mainstream media for as long as I can remember, but now it's like it's so much in full view and in your face.
Hmm.
And it's one of the things that Harry and Meghan have dedicated themselves to fixing misinformation, and also supporting organizations that actually have a balanced view on news, and actually, you know, going back to that old school journalism of actually informing people and not this clickbait industrial complex
Yeah.
that we have now. But I'm going to
Absolutely.
leave it there. Thank you so much, Lightside, for coming on.
Oh, thank you, Anne.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And yeah, thank you everyone for your amazing comments, and thank you for your donations as well. It's always much appreciated. Couldn't do this without you. And yeah, I think Baron's already been on today. Is he still on? Is he still in the chat? If you ever want to come up, Baron, just let me know. Would love to hear your voice here. But yeah, I will leave it there, and let's dance our way out, folks. Have a great weekend.
Real quick. Have you guys had a show together yet, you and Baron?
No, we have not.
Oh man, I would love to see that. Yes. Next thing on the list for 2023. I want to see that happen too. I imagine the conversations would be amazing. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, we need to make that happen. I've been on Petals, but I haven't been on Baron's, and Baron's hasn't been on mine. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
All right. Cool. Bye, guys.
Ciao, everyone.
Lunes, ya. 1, 2, 3, pasa el guaro. Y sin estrés, que caro. Te gustan los chicos malos. Y se te ve que ella es como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Y ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Ella es como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Y ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Yeah. Esa Julieta no necesita su Romeo. A esas caderas todo le creo. Y esta manera de perreo. Bájale al fuego porque esto se puso feo. Aquí un paisita con la de Ponce. Ella la mala y apelando el bronce. Yo flow Maluma, tu flow Beyoncé. Pega esto pa' que sientas el roce. Con su flow gemelita de G-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, reggaetón. Con su flow gemelita de G-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, reggaetón. Ella como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Ella como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve las notas, que se mueve como loca. Yo le doy un flow a mi bebé la pupi. Le doy un guarito pa' que deje el tutti frutti. Pa' que no se estrese y solo me va a hacer booty. Izquierda, derecha con su movimiento sutil. Nos noquea como lo haya en el ring. Nunca pasa moda como la era de los memes. De toda la peli ella es la mejor sin. La bebé esta cara y eso que no usa Supreme. Con su flow gemelita de G-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, reggaetón. Con su flow gemelita de G-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, reggaetón. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Baby, presentando pa'
Goodness me! I mean, we don't want them to stop talking because I mean, you'd lose your livelihood at this rate, wouldn't you? I mean, we can't just talk about what Kate's new dress looks like, which is on the front page of the papers every day. But it is extraordinary.